Hello again, whiskey friends. Welcome back to Whiskey Riffs Lounge. I'm Kelsey. Today we're going to be talking about this beauty, Michter's Toasted Barrel Finish Rye. Now, many of you have been seeking after this. This is something I just picked up. So let's get into it and let's get this thing started. I appreciate it. Welcome back, guys. So today we're going to be talking about Michter's Toasted Barrel Strength Rye. It's right here. Such a beauty of a bottle. Man, it's 108 proof. It's just beautiful. I love this thing. So tonight we're going to be talking about toasted rye. Many of you like toasted products. Some of you don't. This is kind of one of my favorite releases when they do it. I don't think they do it every year, but I think it's every other year. So let's get into the nose and check this thing out. Let's see what it's all about. Cheers, whiskey friends. Oh, man. If you like sweet rye, this is yours. This is the one that you're going to want to get. Man, it's just like maple syrup on the nose, a little bit of toasted marshmallow with caramel, and give this thing a swirl a bit. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so the first time that I had this, I was getting like a real sweetened, toasted gingerbread. So it's kind of that kind of a profile. It's real sweet on the nose. Oh God, it's so good. Let's go in for the palate and let's see how this stacks up to the nose. So up front, it does kind of match the nose profile here. It's all sweet up front with a lot of sugar, and then it kicks in right away to the spice up front with all that rye spice that I love. It's not real floral like any other type of rye. Michter's tends to be, I think, a barely legal rye, so it's really sweet up front. But then you get that rye spice that's 108 proof, so it kicks in with just a little bit of that rye spice, and then it goes back towards more of a caramel and oak finish, a little bit of that marshmallow, and then the oak is the thing that kind of overlaps at the end of the palate, so to speak. So let's go back and try the middle of this palate and see what I'm getting on this. So going back to the nose first, and then we'll go to the mid palate. So mid palate, it kind of expands outwards. You get a little bit more oak in the mid palate than you do the front. It focuses more in the middle and spreads itself out towards the finish, and the spice kicks in from back to front, which is a little bit different for a rye for me. Most of the time when I drink a rye, it's usually rye up front and then go towards the back. So it's kind of an opposite effect. So if you guys haven't tried this batch, this is kind of what to expect if you're lucky enough to find one of these. I was lucky enough to find one at retail. So I know when I first got into bourbon and I was watching YouTube guys, I was like, how in the world did they get all these bottles? I'm like, well, this particular one, it was just a relationship that I built over years and years and years at the same store. So it is possible. There's also, I think, Keg and Bottle put out this particular bottle online and dropped it for pretty much just a little bit over MSRP. I think theirs was like 140 or 150 plus tax and shipping. So it wound up to be like 180. So it is possible. This one is quite a few barrels, or not barrels, quite a few bottles were released of this particular release this year. So make sure you check that out. So on the mid palate, again, go back to the whiskey. It's kind of a different experience. So let's go to the finish. I find this one kind of interesting for 108 proof on the finish, but I want to make sure I'm getting the notes that I am. So cheers to you. Thanks for sticking around, whiskey friends. Pretty consistent. The sweetness dissipates the more on like the third sip, and you get more of that oak on the finish. It is just a tiny bit drying, but not overwhelming. If you like oak, it's not going to be an issue for you. For those that like sweet oak, it's not going to be an issue for you. This has a lot of sweet oak to it. Just has a little bit of drying on the finish. Overall, the finish is medium to medium long, so it's not going to be, lasting around forever. The legs on this thing are pretty nice, but it's just not extremely viscous. But for 108 proof, it's got a decent finish. So let's look at these scores and see how it stacks up. For those that are new to the channel, please make sure you hit like and subscribe. And for those that are coming back to the channel, thank you for your support. So what we do here is we break this down. We go through a spreadsheet and kind of calculate different experiences along the way. So let's look at that together. Today, we're looking at an 87.5 on the flavor score. So pretty dang high on flavor score. Experience score was just slightly under. I think that partly due to where the proof point is for me. I feel like it would be a little bit more robust at a higher proof, but these Michter's barrels are not going to be above typically a 110. So it's kind of to be expected. And then the value score, I scored a little bit higher because to me, honestly, of the LEs that are released from Michter's, this has always been the most consistent one for me. The Michter's 10-year bourbon this year was great, but it hasn't always been the case. So if you're going to find one of Michter's LEs, this is the one to find, in my opinion. It's always consistent. Their rye, to me, is their best product and the most consistent product. So you know what you're going to get every single time. It's undisclosed where they source from. It's been a huge secret for a long, long time. I've asked plenty of people. Nobody can tell me where they're sourcing. But by the proof and the consistency of the proof, I'm going to say they're sourcing somewhere in Indiana. Just because those proof points in other places are not coming out like this for a barrel strength. So I could be totally wrong. That's just my guess. That's not truth as it is. I'm just telling you that's what I think it is. Anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around. Make sure that you hit like and subscribe. If you guys have tried this particular bottle, let me know your experiences down in the comments. That always helps me kind of gauge what you're experiencing versus what I am. And then also for me to go back and taste it and see if I'm getting different notes than you are, or if you're getting different notes than I am. So guys, thanks so much for sticking around. Make sure you guys come to the channel on Wednesday nights. We always stream live at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you join us. Thanks again so much, whiskey friends. We'll see you soon.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends.